Okay, now y'all, so pay attention. So, if I'm saying this correctly, then the deposits are correct, and then that's meaning that you have a correct balance of $33 in the bank account, at whether it's Prosperity or Broadway or Allpoint. You're looking at $3,843 in the bank account. So that's pretty much adding $315 from the bank account, and making these $10 into into hundreds at the time. Being or tens. You can turn it into hundreds or tens, and being able to use more of a composite for duplicates is pretty much what you're using these days, as you use more of a 1996 to a 2018 compassion of where and why you buy. And that's pretty much leaving deals towards geometry, and being able to know more about chemistry, and knowing more about the normal fashions of a daily job at the time. So that's pretty much all you working on when you're in the building of Mr. Catfish is you're being able to know more about the currency that gets spent at the time. $63 ain't $630. Oh well, what I was saying was $600. It wasn't $630. So no, $69 ain't $630. So that's pretty much what I was saying as far as that go. And knowing the complete balance of a 8210 code is pretty much where you want to use more diverse of a city metropolitan central market and outlook resourcing that. That's pretty much where you want to use a common mode of that 82 times, 42 times, 22 times, 12 times. You just got to make a common effort of it, and that's pretty much putting 10 $10 down as you put that dollar down for a cigarette or for 6 cigarettes. So that's at least where you're getting 1762 out of 2006, and being able to pay a cigarette off with a dollar now that you caught up, by a mega print. So it's pretty much where you're using cigarettes for a dollar at all type of macroeconomical societies and scenarios and situations at the time. So just because that might be needed for people that was birthed in 1973 to 1983, going into 2006, it just might need that cigarette. So that's pretty much where you're using a dollar for a pack of cigarettes, and instead of it being $716 for a pack of cigarettes, you can use the whole stack of 10 up just like that, where you already using $3 of 36 tens already, just by spending your extra $4 to $5. So that's pretty much where you're using more towards nothing, and being able to pay an unequal equation out on what is price. I wouldn't mind if you can put this much on a cigarette, and that'll be the cost of the cigarette, other than it being a dollar. I don't mind it being efficiently priced and everything, but just make sure it's at a cost efficient price, just because you gotta have cigarettes in these nowadays, and majority of people only gonna have 73 to 63 tens, and that's pretty much going towards lunch, family rituals, um, work, being able to lunch, dinner, and breakfast, and being able to continue the normal family rituals. And that's pretty much where you're using majority of your whole paycheck to pay that price. So it's pretty much using hundreds of twenties of tens just to pay for one cigarette at the time, as you see 36 tens, 26 tens, 366 tens. You start to see that in the Broadway of All Point at the following banks that you know of. So just pretty much just using that other bank to transition that whole factor as we get more paid off. So with that being said, you almost can never change the debate, how it goes, but sometimes it does change after 1953 of 1783. And it's pretty much, as we've been through there 783 times on the NASCAR race. So it's pretty much where we're coming from as far as it being a nicer drive out of 1021 10s. And instead of it being 1021 10s, we wanted to make it at least around that much cash that we can dispute, since we're not made of cash majority, and we want everybody to be known that as well. We want to leave a efficient luxury feel behind it as we make different codes of honor at the time, and be able to add exclusive detail towards deposits, and being able to know more about making bigger payments for free trade investments locally. And being able to know more about that detail is pretty much where you're learning more of your T-Mobile connections. So it's pretty much working with T-Mobile connections and Catfish Industries as well. As you find tax deficits, that's pretty much what you're working with. T-Mobile, Catfish Industries, and Sam Houston State University. And that's already 738 different components of time, dealing with 47 to 2028 2038. You already have previous data of that history, as history reciprocates and cancellates and repeats as it repeats. And it's pretty much listening to the 1973 track, and being able to know more about the urban day fashion of later tracks in the back in the day. So that's just basically looking at 2009 2014 and looking at the whole season of the year, and being able to know more about the holiday spirits that is ritualed in versus the versus the versus the creative mode of the seasons, where you're working with your authorizations and dealing with more of your journalism type deal. So that's pretty much working with the outside of the city, and being able to know of 671 different components at the time, and knowing how they operate, so you can make a good adjustment to their structure ability at the time. So it's just pretty much being declared of extra currency as you deposit $315 for 1026 tens. So it's pretty much where you're looking at $315 of interest, added with these 1010s, and being able to know more about 1010s other than it being more of 1000s. And it's pretty much where you're looking at the average day of 9656 of 2056, where it used to be hundreds, but now they're 10. So it's pretty much where you got to make that the tax interest rates decrease. So that's pretty much where you're using more towards using $10 fine instead of $1 fine. So it decreased with the hundreds and increased with the tens. And increase with the tens, yes. So, it's just pretty much working with all types of propositions and centers for those types of portions of the cash as you make more towards tobacco, soap, water expenses, dealing with the normal $38,826 expenses that go on everyday customs out of $86,645 of interactions that go on in 67 to 74 of 82. So, it's pretty much working with that detail majority of the time. So, it's working with $720 majority of the time. So, it's pretty much dealing with promotions at the time and, being able to promote up to about $913, $10 that we collect in this modern period of months. So, it's pretty much using your average July of September and, being able to collect more of your $10,000 bonus rewards. So, it's not just $1 expectancy. It's not just $1 expectancy. It's a $10 expectancy. So, it's pretty much where you're working on $78,886 differences as you work for the carton instead of the box, the little box that you buy when you buy a $10 box. So instead of buying a $10 box, you want to buy a $100 box. So that's pretty much what this is as you figure that out. But just like I was just saying earlier, the times had decreased, and that's pretty much where it turned into a $10 bill of bill worth instead of it being a coin or a quarter at the time. So that's pretty much where you're looking at the difference of a quarter to $1 and figuring out that it has $461 extra. So that's just pretty much giving you PMC2 squares characteristics of how to make better influences on money promotions. So it could be better than in Cash App in different places if you knew how to keep it perfected and perpetuate it to its propelled balances. So it's pretty much being able to use a reduced fee for what you need to buy. And, being able to use $3 to $4 to promote that detail, so you can go buy burgers or buy gas with the extra cash that you could have. And that could be $500, $950, $650, $220, $850, $699, $899. And you can have that for the next 961 months. And, it's pretty much where you're purchasing wealth at my max preps and spring football. Spring football is in there, yay. So, other than that, you're working with codes and stuff like that, and, being able to deal with 641 different components within a storage compartment, and, dealing with more of how to promote more for geometric networks, as far as knowing more about the data, the network data that gets provided, being able to resource bigger details about the situation on CNN to Comcast to T-Mobile to Max Preps to to those main visual concepts of 4738. So it's pretty much where you're using a different detailer or a different detail of corporations to deal with communications within that breach. So it's pretty much dealing with 1947 to 2086. So it's pretty much dealing with that all the way around, and dealing with different concepts at the 861 hour of the year or of the week, and being able to deal with 24 hours of response at the hour is pretty much what we make at tremendous levels of income at the time. That's over about $80,000 of income coming in after using the medical bills and being able to promote more for smoking at the time. So being able to use a smoker's license is pretty much what you want to do as you promote more for your USA or your Indonesia or your Thailand or your Ukraine or your French or your Spain or your Italy. That's pretty much where you're using more towards your liberty and independence at the time. So, just being able to know more about 1969 and knowing about popular demand, that runs 87, 25, hundreds in the chapter, and, being able to know more about popular demand versus majority rule is pretty much where you're learning more about, educational services and, knowing about ecoleaf and ecourb of catfish industries is where that goes as far as knowing 877 catfish being made at the time and, eating that particular network invested discussion as well. So, that's pretty much where ecoleaf that's pretty much what ecoleaf, CNN, Max Preps talk about, when they're making other adjustments of yellow, green, and orange situations at 671 hour deposits in processing. So, it's pretty much using that detail of 2026 and 2056 as we make better interest in the factor. So, it's pretty much using that detail. So, other than that, we are using 1943 to 2013 and, going to 2017 with that as well. So, that's already about 643 years in Harry Potter to Enterprise, to Percy Jackson and the Greek Gods, of Chronicles of Narnia, of yeah, one more, but we couldn't think of it at the time, so we just gotta leave it alone and let them handle that. So, other than that, you're working with $82 million investments versus 8,000 to 80,000. You took a big shot at that, and it's pretty much where you're using ecourb of catfish industries at ecourb at catfish industries of Comcast and T-Mobile. So, it's being able to know more about T-Mobile, Outlook, and Comcast, and, being able to know more about those digital economics as well as you change states and, figure out different depositions of metropolitan areas that make up the majority rule versus the popular demand area. And, it's pretty much working on free trade area right there. Investments as you make a newer big deal or a newer big approach to how to judge your character of description at the time. So, it's being able to know more about independence and urbanization and, all that updated, urbanized premium stuff that you know about. So, it's pretty much where that goes towards. So, good luck towards that. Good luck towards that, and hope you make a good scenario out of it. So, that's pretty much what we want to do for that, and be able to create 446 documents or deficits or even duplicates of this stuff. And that's pretty much where you're using more reference notes towards making a bill note for how to make purple, green, and orange counties 548 different counties, and being able to know more about those regions is pretty much where we want to transition the energy of All Point, I can't really name the companies there right now just because they're all in number codes at my point in time right now. So that's where I'm coming from, is numbers right now. That's all you see, particularly at this time, is numbers at this time. So it's pretty much as we use $89,000 in numbers at the time. That's been paid with 36, 10, 46 different tens at the time. So it's pretty much as you paying that, and being able to understand more about the documentation of printing, and knowing more about faxing and printing is pretty much where we're getting into 1936 of 2015. So it's pretty much making a newer resolution for our departments of solutions at the time. So just pretty much working with 69,889 different resolutions of time, and dealing with SFA with a little bit of TSU, and with Baylor as well. So it's pretty much we're using the difference between the two to make a good compromise, and understanding more of a common law than your natural content that gets put out there. So it's pretty much using 68,843 to promote more for a higher sufficiency of $87 attire at the time. So you working with that 417 weeks of a semester rate at the time. So it's pretty much wearing clothes every day at that time. So it's pretty much looking at the 87, 47, 67 that you're talking about, and dealing with the average day society that you have, dealing with restaurants and using the restroom, paying bills, and dealing with the average day 520, 46 that you talk about on the average day of being able to know more about interest rates, and more about how you get paid as revenue tax, and 87,000 different coordinates on all point coordinates. So it's pretty much working with 8,740 different coordinates on all point. That gives you more of a deposit of 520.46 for 314 months. That's pretty much where you're working with better instances and better communications of T-Mobile and MoneyGram at the time. So it's pretty much working on that detail as you get inspired by that ecourb 747 platform and department of All Point. So All Point is one of those co-advertisers at the time that have one of those particular methods to give you a region of where the where you would be at, being able to determine 1987 from 2047. So, with that being said, that is an honor society of scholar athlete nobility going on right there. So, that's pretty much what we use to use a positive default, and, be able to create a better industry of analysis going on. So, that's pretty much what we want to do.